The night shift at Forward Medical Unit 6 was always the same. Quiet halls, dim red lights, distant artillery hum like thunder in the distance. Second Lieutenant Ayla Grant, the night shift nurse, moved from bed to bed, checking 4 lines and vitals with the calm focus only exhaustion could teach. She had been awake for 19 hours. Again. But she never complained. People joked she was just the night nurse, the one who worked the lonely hours when everyone else slept. They didn't know her past. They didn't know her training. They didn't know what she used to be. And she wanted to keep it that way. Ayla adjusted a soldier's blanket, whispered a reassuring word, and moved on. Outside, rain tapped against the field hospital roof. A medic walked by yawning. "Quiet night," he said. Ayla smiled faintly. "Don't jinx it." He laughed and left. 2 minutes later, the power flickered. Once. Twice. Then the entire hospital went dark. Emergency lights snapped on, bathing the halls in blood-red glow. Ayla froze. Power outages weren't rare. But this felt wrong. The radio on her belt hissed. "All units code black. Perimeter breach. Hostile signatures detected." The transmission cut off into static. Ayla's heart clenched. Code black. Not a drill. Not a false alarm. Enemy commandos, inside the wire. She looked toward the ward of critical patients, men too broken to run, too weak to fight. The place she had sworn to protect. She tapped the medic's shoulder. "Lock the west doors. Move everyone non-critical into the interior ward. Now." He blinked. "What? Ayla, are we under attack?" Glass shattered somewhere outside. Gunfire echoed. Ayla's voice turned cold. "Yes. Move." She ran toward the supply closet, heart pounding, memories she buried years ago clawing to the surface. She opened the door. And stared at the weapon she never wanted to touch again. A suppressed sidearm. She hesitated. Then grabbed it. Because tonight, the night shift nurse would have to become what she once was. The field hospital was huge, 6 tents connected by narrow corridors. Perfect for wounded soldiers. Perfect for ambush. Ayla slipped between shadows, every step silent, controlled, methodical. Her breathing slowed. Her heartbeat steadied. Old training took over. The kind she wasn't supposed to remember. The kind she swore she had left behind. In the surgical wing, she saw movement. A dark figure crouching near the generator panel. Not a medic. Not a soldier. A commando wearing night vision goggles. Planting explosives. Ayla raised her pistol. Paused. Aimed lower. She fired 1 shot. Fast. Quiet. Clean. The commando collapsed without a sound. She dragged his body behind an equipment cart and checked his radio. Encrypted. Professional. "Damn it," she whispered. This wasn't a raid. It was a capture mission. She checked the explosive charge. Rigged to detonate the whole hospital wing. Her jaw tightened. They weren't trying to breach. They were trying to erase. She disarmed the charge with surgeon-level precision. A second shadow moved at the end of the hallway. 2. No, 3 men. Coordinated. Armed. Moving toward the critical care ward. Toward her patients. Ayla ducked into a storage room, heart racing, eyes calculating distance, angles, timing. Footsteps approached. Ayla exhaled. Her hand tightened around her pistol. She waited until they passed her door. Then she moved. Silent. Precise. Deadly. She dropped the first with a strike to the throat. The second turned too slow. 1 shot between the plates of his armor. The third swung his rifle toward her. She grabbed it, twisted, broke his wrist, then slammed his head into the metal frame. 3 down. More coming. She heard distant shouts. Gunfire. Screams. Medics. Her medics. Her patients. The hospital was becoming a battleground. Ayla checked her ammo, half a mag left. Not enough. Never enough. She tore a rifle off one of the commandos, slung it over her shoulder, and sprinted toward the ICU. Not as a nurse. Not anymore. As something she hoped she'd never be again. A former Special Forces operative. The ICU doors were barricaded with beds, for poles, and carts. Inside, frightened soldiers huddled behind medics holding surgical tools like weapons. Ayla burst in. The head medic stared at her, eyes wide. You're armed? No time, she said. Where are they? He pointed with a trembling hand. Ayla peeked through a crack. 5 commandos approaching. 2 with breaching charges. 1 carrying a suppressed SMG. All masked? All moving with cold discipline. Ayla inhaled deeply. Fear melted. Doubt dissolved. The transformation was instant, terrifying, complete. She remembered every lesson. Every drill. Every kill. Because she had once been. Seraph 2. Special Recon Unit. Counter-Infiltration. But she left that life. Buried it. Until now. Stay down, she whispered. The breach charge beeped. She kicked the ICU door open. Ayla fired first. 2 commandos dropped instantly. Headshots, perfect grouping. The other scrambled. 1 fired wildly. Ayla dove behind a supply cabinet. Bullets tore into metal inches from her face. Another enemy circled wide. She slid across the floor on her knees, firing upward. He collapsed. 2 left. They split. Smart. Predictable. Ayla grabbed a metal tray and slid it across the floor as a distraction. 1 enemy turned. She popped up. Crack. He fell. The last one rushed her with a knife. Bad mistake. Ayla sidestepped, grabbed his arm, dislocated his elbow, and slammed him into the wall. He slumped unconscious. Silence. Only her heavy breathing filled the ICU. Medics stared at her in absolute shock. One whispered, Ayla, what are you? She didn't answer. She wasn't ready to. Not yet. Because she heard something else. A sound that froze her blood. A heavy vehicle's engine. Outside the hospital. Getting closer. The commandos had failed. So their backup had arrived. A breech truck. Armored. Armed. And coming straight for them. Ayla chambered around. This isn't over, she said quietly. Then she headed outside. Alone. Rain hammered the tents as Ayla stepped into the open. Lightning flashed. An armored breech truck rolled toward the hospital entrance, shielded by 4 more commandos, all heavily armed. Ayla ducked behind sandbags as bullets sliced through the night. She returned fire, controlled bursts. 2 enemies fell. The truck swerved, angling its front battering ram toward the ICU tent. No. You're not getting in, she whispered. She sprinted across the mud, sliding behind a generator crate. The ram accelerated. She had seconds. Ayla yanked a smoke grenade from a fallen commando's vest. Pulled the pin. Rolled it under the truck. Smoke billowed, thick, blinding. The commando gunner fired blindly. Ayla slipped through the smoke like a ghost. She climbed onto the truck's hood. Slammed her elbow into the windshield. And fired point blank into the driver's chest. The truck veered. Skidded. And crashed into a barrier. The last 2 commandos tried to retreat. Ayla didn't let them. 3 shots. 3 hits. Silence fell. Rain washed the blood into the dirt. Ayla staggered back into the hospital, soaked, shaking, smoke-covered. Medics and wounded soldiers stared at her like she was someone else entirely. Someone terrifying. Someone powerful. Someone they had never really known. Ayla, the head medic whispered. What were you before this? Ayla looked down at the rifle. Then at her trembling hands. I was done fighting, she said softly. I wanted to heal people. He nodded slowly. And tonight, you saved all of us. Ayla looked around the hospital, at the survivors, at the wounded who lived because she had acted. She placed the rifle on the floor. I'm still a nurse, she said quietly. But I won't let anyone hurt my patients ever again. Outside, the storm eased. Inside, they finally breathed. And that night, for the first time, they understood. She wasn't just the night shift nurse. She was their shield. Their protector. Their warrior. The end.